Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Muhammad Islam, visiting faculty member in GIS department. So my subject is database. So far I have shared you some practicals of how to install SQL Management Studio, how to create a database in SQL Management Studio, how to create a table uh, in that database, and how to write a simple select query to get the required uh, data from the table. So in this lecture, I will discuss the basic SQL statements. So our agenda of this lecture is you should be able to do the following, like list the capabilities of SQL select statement, execute the basic select statements. This is not in our uh, practical domain, like what is the difference between SQL Plus command and the SQL. So leave the last point. So capabilities of SQL statement, uh, in which we will discuss, like in select statement, there are rows you have to select and uh, display the display on the screen. Projection mean you have to select the table and project on the screen. Uh, in second uh, second table, you will I will show you the uh, concept, like in table 1 and table 2. uh, the highlighted portion is basically our primary key, and in table 2 these primary key are uh, present in table 2 and described as a foreign key. Okay, so basically if you need the data that is some of the data is in data table 1 and some of the data is in table 2, so you may uh, add a join in a query to get the required data by joining both table. So in basic select statement, you have to write a select distinct way. You can the display data is not duplicated. Okay, so you put select distinct, then you write a static, then your required columns you need to display on the screen. When you execute this query, the required uh, column names are displayed on the screen, like select distinct from, uh, then you have to write the column names. Select basically identifies what columns you need to display on the screen. From identifies which table. Okay, your required data are from which table. So writing SQL statement are not basically a case sensitive. Can be on one or more line. Keyword cannot be abbreviated or split across line. Clauses are usually placed on a separate line. Tabs and indents are used to enhance the readability basically. Like uh, like this example, select static from department. This static means you have to display all the table. So basically the table name is department. So in the department table, there is a department number, department name, and location. So all the table displayed on your screen when the query has been executed. Select static from the department. I have discussed in the previous uh, uh, practical lecture in which we have a table and we put a query on the compiler, and after execution the data of the table displayed on the screen. I will again show you in our next practical how to uh, write a basic select query to display the table on your screen. So if you required a specific column from the whole table, so you may write select the column names from the department. So department number and location from the department. So after executing the query, the required output displayed on your screen is department number and the location only. So if you write a static, so the whole table has been displayed on the screen. If you required a specific columns, so you have to mention individually the required columns. Column heading default. Default justification is basically left date and character data, right numeric data. Default display is basically uppercase. So arithmetic expression. So create expression on numbers and data by using arithmetic operators like plus, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. In next slides, I will discuss how to use these operators in by writing your SQL statement. So using arithmetic operator, you have uh, to write uh, addition operator and the operand, that is your number you have to add in that column, like select e name salary. So basically in select statement, uh, uh, the attributes, the columns you have selected are displayed on the screen basically. So select e name salary, and salary added 300 from department from the employee table. So e name you have seen in your output after executing that query, salary and addition of 300 in the salary have been clearly seen on your output screen. So using this arithmetic operator, you have to add uh, some numbers to the already defined uh, column attributes. Similarly, operator precedence. First of all, static, then divide, then addition and subtraction. Uh, like the mass rule. Multiplication and division take priority over addition and subtraction. Okay. Operator of the same priorities are evaluated from left to right. Parentheses are used to force the prioritize evaluation to clarify that statement. So Like if you have more than one operator, so the precedence as defined in the previous lecture should apply. So select ename salary and 12 multiply operator salary plus 100. So the actual salary is basically 5,000, and you have to add uh, that you have to multiply by 12 and add 100 like the operator precedence. You can do this if you already if you have already uh, installed the Microsoft SQL Management Studio. So you can easily make a table in which the column names are e-name, salary, location, and you may put a query, and you can require the you can acquire the result with respect to your SQL query. So defining a null value is very simple. Like a null is a value that is unavailable, unassigned, unknown, and inapplicable. A null is not the same as zero or a blank space. So you have to put a select query name job code from the employee table, and the result you have been seen on the screen. Now in null values in arithmetic, uh, null values in arithmetic expression is containing a null value evaluate to null. Basically select ename and the two operators with the two columns from employee where ename equal to king. So where class basically restrict the whole table and only select where ename equal to king. So king and against that value. So where class is basically restrict the data. Only those data has been shown on the screen whose name is equal to king. Exactly. Rename a column heading is useful with calculation. Immediately follow column name as keyword between required double quotation marks. It contains spaces. If you need any space, so you must put a uh, put a quotation like you have seen in this slide. Select uh, name as name salary from the employee table. So name and salary shown in the display screen. Select ename and name salary multiplied by 12 annual salary from employee table. So you can clearly see the displays. You clearly see in the result uh, the columns in the quotation displayed on the screen. Similarly, concatenation operator can concatenate simply by adding a two bars, create a resultant column that is a character expression, like select ename, and you have to concatenate job as employee. So, and the two basically the two columns are concatenated to one, and king president, black manager, Clark manager, John manager, Martin manager, Martin salesman, and alien salesman. So you can concatenate this. So as you receive the notification from the authority, uh, you have to write, you have to write these practicals from installation to what have been done so far added in your practical notebook. Similarly, a literal character string. A literal is a character expression or number included in the select list. Date and character literal values must be enclosed with a single quotation. Each character string is output once for each row return. So a literal is basically a character expression or number included in the select list. Date and character literal value must be enclosed within a single quotation mark. Each character string is output once for each row return. Like select e name, then you have to mention a two bars, then quotation job as employee detail from employee. So basically the quotation using literal character, you maybe add a space like this. King is a president, Black's manager. Okay, so you may use the literal character string. Similarly, if you remove a duplicate rows like 10 and 10, you may add a distinct as we discussed in the start of the lecture. The default display of query is all rows including duplicate rows. So the select department number from department from employee table. So the duplicate rows you have clearly seen in the executed query. But if you eliminate that duplicate rows, so you must write the distinct. Eliminate duplicate rows by using the uh, distinct keyword in the selected clause. So you must add a select distinct department number from the employee. So this your duplicated uh, uh, rows have been removed. So this is basically the difference between SQL and SQL Plus interaction. So we will discuss the basic difference. Like SQL is basically a language, SQL Plus is basically an environment, and use SQL basically use the ANSI standard, and SQL Plus is the Oracle. Keyboard cannot be abbreviated. Keyboard cannot and can statement manipulate data and the table definition in the database. You simply, uh, if you write a basic SQL statement, so uh, in the next step, your basic SQL statement will go to the SQL buffer, and in SQL static command, there is no buffer used. So command do not allow manipulation of the values in the database basically. So basically what you have learned so far in this lecture is how to write a basic SQL statement. So in this next lecture, uh, uh, I will show you uh, how to uh, write a basic SQL select statement, and I will retrieve the data from the database by using the select statement. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.